Hold on. Before you scroll past, this affects your money. Starting this March, millions of Social Security recipients across America are waking up to a payment change that nobody saw coming. And whether you're already collecting benefits or planning to retire soon, you need to hear this right now. We're talking about real dollar amounts hitting real bank accounts differently than last month. Some recipients are seeing bigger deposits. Others, they're confused, frustrated, and calling their local SSA offices with zero answers. Which side are you on? Here's what the government isn't exactly shouting from the rooftops. Timing, eligibility rules, and recent policy shifts have quietly reshuffled how and when payments are going out in March 2026. And if you're not paying attention, you could miss money that's rightfully yours. Or worse, make a financial decision based on outdated information. Whether you're on SSDI, SSI, retirement benefits, or survivor benefits, this update touches all of it. We've broken down every single change in plain English. No government jargon, no confusing fine print, just the facts you actually need to protect your income and plan your month correctly. Millions of Americans are finding out about this right now. Don't be the last one in your household to know. If you want to make sure your Social Security money is protected, smash that like button so YouTube keeps pushing this critical information to people who need it most. And welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found this video, because what we're covering today is something that directly impacts the financial lives of tens of millions of Americans. And honestly, most people have no idea this is happening right now. So let's get straight into it, because there's a lot to cover and every single word of this video matters for your wallet. Let's start with the big picture. Social Security in 2026 is not the same system it was even 12 months ago. Between policy adjustments, cost of living recalculations, new SSA processing timelines, and legislative changes that quietly passed without much media fanfare, the landscape for beneficiaries has genuinely shifted. And March 2026 is where a lot of those changes are finally hitting bank accounts in a very visible way. Whether you noticed a difference in your deposit this month or you're still trying to figure out what's going on, this video is going to walk you through everything step by step. Now, the first thing we need to talk about is the 2026 cost of living adjustment, what most people call the COLA. This is the annual increase that Social Security applies to benefits based on inflation data, and for 2026, the adjustment came in at around 2.5%. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but when you apply that across millions of beneficiaries receiving anywhere from $700 to over $2,000 a month, the real-world dollar impact is significant. For the average retired worker collecting Social Security, that 2.5% COLA translates to roughly an extra $50 or so per month. For couples where both partners receive benefits, that number effectively doubles. And for people who are on Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, the payment increase kicked in on January 1st, while retirement and SSDI payments began reflecting the new amount starting with the January payment that most people received in early February or throughout the month, depending on their birth date. So if you haven't sat down and actually compared your current payment to what you were receiving in late 2025, now is the time to do that, because you may have more money coming in than you even realized. But here's where things get more complicated, and more important. The COLA increase doesn't exist in a vacuum, because when your Social Security benefit goes up, other things tied to your income can shift as well. One of the biggest examples is Medicare Part B premiums. For 2026, Medicare Part B premiums increased, and for most Social Security recipients, those premiums are automatically deducted from your monthly benefit. So while your gross benefit went up because of COLA, your net deposit, the actual amount that hits your bank account, may look different than you expected. Some people are seeing a modest increase after the Medicare deduction. Others, depending on their income level and what bracket they fall into for Medicare premium calculations, might find that the premium increase ate into a significant portion of their COLA raise. This is one of the primary reasons why so many people are confused and frustrated right now, and it's completely understandable. You were told you were getting a raise, and then you look at your bank account, and it doesn't feel like much of a raise at all. That's the Medicare offset in action, and you need to understand it so you're not caught off guard every single year. Now let's talk about payment timing. because this is another area where March 2026 is creating some real confusion. The Social Security Administration distributes payments on a schedule that's tied to your birthday. If your birthday falls on the 1st through the 10th of the month, you receive your payment on the second Wednesday of each month. If your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th, your payment comes on the third Wednesday. And if your birthday falls between the 21st and the 31st, you receive your payment on the fourth Wednesday of the month. Now, for people who have been receiving benefits since before May of 1997, you're on a different schedule entirely. Your payment comes on the third of each month, regardless of your birthday. The reason this matters in March 2026 specifically is because of how the calendar falls. With certain Wednesdays landing in particular positions this month, some beneficiaries are receiving their payments earlier in the month than they did in February, while others are receiving them later. If you were expecting your deposit last week and it hasn't arrived, check the calendar against your birthday, because it's very likely your payment is scheduled for a different Wednesday than the previous month. This is not an error. It's simply how the SSA payment schedule works. But it catches people off guard every single time the calendar shifts. Let's also address something that's affecting a very specific group of beneficiaries in a major way right now. And that's the repeal of the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. If those terms are familiar to you, listen very carefully to this section. For decades, millions of public sector workers, teachers, firefighters, police officers, state and federal employees had their Social Security benefits reduced because of these two provisions. The Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP, reduced Social Security benefits for workers who also received a pension from a job that wasn't covered by Social Security. The Government Pension Offset, or GPO, reduced spousal and survivor benefits for people receiving government pensions. These two rules affected millions of people and were widely considered to be deeply unfair because they penalized public servants who had worked hard their entire careers. The Social Security Fairness Act, which was signed into law, repealed both of these provisions. And what that means in practical terms is that affected beneficiaries are now entitled to higher monthly payments, and some are eligible for retroactive back payments covering the period since the repeal took effect. If you or someone in your family worked in public service and had benefits reduced under WEP or GPO, you need to contact the Social Security Administration as soon as possible if you haven't already. Some people are receiving significant lump sum retroactive payments in addition to their increased monthly benefit. And if you haven't checked on your status, you could be leaving real money on the table. Now let's talk about the earnings limit, because this affects a growing number of Social Security recipients who are still working while collecting benefits. In 2026, the earnings limit, the amount you can earn from work before Social Security starts temporarily reducing your benefit, has been adjusted. For people who are below full retirement age for the entire year, the exempt earnings limit is now higher than it was last year, meaning you can earn more from working without triggering a benefit reduction. For every $2 you earn above that limit, Social Security withholds $1 in benefits. For people who reach full retirement age during 2026, a higher limit applies in the months leading up to that birthday, with a different withholding formula. And once you actually hit full retirement age, the earnings limit disappears completely. You can earn as much as you want from work with absolutely no reduction in your Social Security benefit. If you've been hesitant to take on part-time work or pick up extra hours because you were worried about losing part of your benefit, now is a great time to revisit those numbers with the updated 2026 limits in mind. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that flies under the radar for most people, the Social Security Administration's updated overpayment recovery policy. This is critically important and potentially alarming if you're not aware of it. In recent years, the SSA faced a lot of scrutiny over its aggressive approach to recovering overpayments. Situations where beneficiaries were accidentally paid more than they were entitled to, sometimes through no fault of their own, and then were asked to repay those amounts, sometimes in very large sums. The SSA has updated its overpayment policies, including changes to the default withholding rate and how repayment plans are structured. If you have received any notice from the Social Security Administration about an overpayment, do not ignore it and do not panic. You have the right to appeal the determination, request a waiver if repaying the amount would cause financial hardship, and negotiate a repayment plan that works with your actual budget. Too many people see that SSA letter and either throw it in a drawer out of anxiety or immediately agree to terms that hurt their monthly cash flow significantly. Know your rights, respond to SSA correspondence promptly, and if needed, reach out to a benefits counselor or legal aid organization in your area for free guidance. Another change that's rolling out in 2026 involves the way Social Security handles identity verification and account management through their online platform, My Social Security. The SSA has been tightening its digital security protocols, and many beneficiaries are being required to re-verify their identity or update their login credentials to maintain uninterrupted access to their account information and direct deposit details. If you haven't logged into your My Social Security account recently, do so now. Make sure your direct deposit information is accurate, your contact information is current, and your benefit verification letters are accessible. These letters are often required when applying for housing, loans, or various assistance programs, and having easy access to your account can save you significant time and stress down the road. For people approaching retirement and trying to figure out the best time to claim Social Security, the 2026 landscape does affect your decision-making. The full retirement age for people born in 1960 or later is 67. Claiming before 67 means a permanently reduced monthly benefit. Claiming after 67 up to age 70 earns you delayed retirement credits that increase your monthly benefit by approximately 8% per year. In an environment where COLA adjustments are moderate and Medicare premiums are climbing, the case for delaying your claim to maximize your monthly benefit is stronger than ever for people who are healthy, still working, and don't urgently need the income. But this is not a one-size-fits-all answer. For people with health challenges, caregiving responsibilities, or immediate financial needs, claiming earlier can absolutely be the right call. The point is to make that decision with full information, not just based on what a neighbor told you or what you read in a headline. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what you should actually do right now, today, based on everything we've covered. First, log into your My Social Security account and verify your current benefit amount reflects the 2026 COLA increase. Second, check your Medicare Part B premium to understand what's actually being deducted from your gross benefit. Third, if you are a public sector worker affected by WEP or GPO, contact the SSA immediately to check on your retroactive payment status. Fourth, review the 2026 earnings limit if you are working while collecting benefits. And fifth, if you've received any correspondence from the SSA about overpayments or account verification, respond promptly and know that you have options. Social Security is not a passive income stream that you just set and forget. It's a dynamic system that changes every single year, and staying informed is genuinely one of the most financially valuable things you can do. The people who understand these updates, who check their accounts, who ask the right questions, they're the ones who protect their income and maximize every dollar they've earned. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If this video gave you information you didn't have before, please hit that like button right now. It truly helps us reach more people who need this information. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we cover these Social Security updates every single month. Drop a comment below and let us know. Did your payment change this March? We read every single comment, and your experience might help someone else watching this video. Stay informed, stay protected, and we'll see you in the next one.